Hi, friends. Welcome to this next episode where I have a very, very, very special guest who I just met yesterday. And you guys are going to meet her too. Her name, I don't even know your last name, but Valerie.
Katz.
Valerie Katz. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we were drinking yesterday, so for today I figured we could recover with some mimosas.
Perfect.
You know, as one does.
Good call.
When they're hungover. So we got a little champagne. Oh, God.
Yeah, a lot of wine and very little water.
Fuck, dude, wine, and then we got margaritas in the mix.
Oh yeah.
Who do we think we are? Thinking that we'll wake up fine the next day.
Hey, I woke up ready to go.
Oh my God.
You're like, you want a drink? I'm like, all right, let's go. I got this.
I was totally fine with a no. Oh, I think I poured that wrong. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm happy. And yeah. Yeah, little side note is I met her family for the first time.
Were you nervous?
I was not too nervous, but then once I got there, I was a little bit shy at first, which I was surprised because I'm just not really a shy person. But I guess, yeah, it's important to meet, somebody that you care about, meet their family. And I obviously want to make a good impression. Oh. But then pretty quickly, thankfully, we were drinking wine and everybody was so fun and easy to talk to. So pretty quickly, I became not nervous.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. Shit. The proportions look wrong.
Who cares?
But it's going to be fine.
I think that there are no wrong proportions for a mimosa.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, here you go.
Thank you so much.
Yours.
Cheers.
Oh, no, what happened to your finger?
Oh, I just cut it. No big deal.
Okay, where to begin? How old are you? Where are you from? Give me the whole rundown. Okay. Basically what I was asking you yesterday.
Yeah, perfect. Now you get to learn everything again. I'm 29 years old. Originally born in Connecticut, and then I lived in Florida. Then I lived in New York City, and then I moved here during COVID. So now I've lived here for like 4 years. Right now I'm in graduate school. I just have one last semester left studying, thank you, getting my master's in clinical psychology to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. I love it so much. I'm so grateful because I just have a career that I am so passionate about. Right now I work at a women's sexual health clinic doing therapy with pregnant women, women with sexual trauma, just it's providing low cost or no cost therapy to just women in need. So I love that too. Dude, it's amazing. Like a community-based clinic. What else do I do? I do lots of things. And then I don't know if you said it at the beginning or not, but the reason why now I'm meeting the family is because I'm dating her cousin, Aaron, who was supposed to be here, but didn't want to come.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't need him.
No, we don't need him.
Yeah, welcome to the family. We have this fun, this little like running bit with us, the cousins. Whenever someone's dating someone new, it's always like, oh, the new guy. And you're pretty much like the new guy until the next person comes in. So like my cousin's husband has been the new guy for a while now.
Which one?
Who was the latest one? I think it was Miguel.
Okay.
Until my sister brought in her partner, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So now you're the new girl.
I can't wait till there's somebody new. So then I'm the one doing the judging. And
you're so great. I love it. Like your energy is so vibrant.
Thank you.
And like you just radiate joy. And like I saw it in the pictures and then whatever videos he was sending or posting about you. I was like, oh, I'm so happy.
Aw.
Yeah.
When I watched any of your podcast videos, I was like, oh, we're going to get along so well. We're going to have so much to talk about. I already knew I feel like of everybody, I was least nervous. I'm like, oh, we're going to be great. And then I found out.
And we did.
Yeah, easy. And we're both 1995.
Uh-huh.
So just
both,
perfect.
what is it? I like the word neurospicy.
A little bit. A little neurodivergent. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Add some flavor to us.
When are you diagnosed?
ADHD, yeah.
When did that go?
Let's see. Well, the reason why I kind of hesitate is because my best friend kind of diagnosed me before I then formally got a diagnosis, but I was just remembering, like, then I ran it by a psychiatrist and he's like, yeah. You have ADHD. And I was so surprised because I was convinced that I was like, no, I don't have ADHD. I can get things done. And then now that I've figured it out, I'm like, wow, this explains a lot of the little quirks about me, a lot of the things that I struggle with. And but yeah, so my best friend in graduate school, also clinical psychology. It benefits you to be in graduate school studying clinical psychology because you learn a lot about yourself.
That's funny.
You're around a lot of other people who are great at diagnosing and telling you things about yourself. So she was like, Val, I think you have ADHD too. I'm like, what? No. And then I do a little bit of research, learn a little bit more about it. I was like, oh.
What were some things that you connected with that, like you say, the quirks that?
Let's see. Just being distracted, going on tangents, being able to talk nonstop and kind of it jumping all around. And I get along really well with other people who have ADHD. And I didn't really, and now looking back, I'm like, oh, all the people I've ever met also have ADHD. Because I love conversations like that where it like goes down one little lane, which leads to another little lane and just goes on. And
then eventually goes back to that one, and then we jump back to another one.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, and I can trace it back all the way to the beginning, and at the end, it's a full circle.
It was actually really funny yesterday when it was just us three and my cousin Betsy, who's also has ADHD, and we were all just like chit-chatting, and we were going like 100 miles an hour, and then poor Erin's right there trying to like catch up with what we're all just running with in our conversation. It was really fun to see that, even in like being in the conversation. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah. And it really went from like one thing and then nobody is deterred when something else comes in too. We're like, okay, that's the new conversation.
Oh, here we go, guys.
I love it. You go along for the ride and there are other things too.
High energy. Did you have trouble with like executive dysfunction? I keep saying that wrong. Is it right?
Executive functioning?
Executive function?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, dysfunction, functions.
Motivation? Getting started?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually before being diagnosed with ADHD, I was diagnosed with depression. And so that's what I thought was really the thing. But they go really hand in hand. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, that a huge part of ADHD is the dopamine, the lack of dopamine, which is why sometimes they become misdiagnosed and it looks a lot like depression, or they do go hand in hand too. But it's that lack of motivation. And I had periods of time where I just, and you kind of described it too, where it's not even sadness. It's just is like, why would I do this?
Yeah.
What is the purpose?
Yeah.
Why? And kind of from like an existential point, I'm like,
bro,
being a human is exhausting. I don't want to do it. And I just kind of had no motivation to just keep on going. And obviously that looks a lot like depression because it's like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm on a medication that is for both. And it's helped me so much.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And so I just feel so much like myself. I feel so much more capable. I feel so happy. And I think I'm also now getting natural forms of dopamine.
Yeah.
Because it's hard when you get into that void of dopamine, then you kind of can get stuck there. And then it's hard to get natural forms of dopamine, which you get from like being in nature, connecting with people, doing things you love. But if you have no motivation, you can't get up and go get those things.
It's a shitty cycle.
It is. It's a downward spiral. And then you get stuck at the bottom.
Yeah. Sometimes, you get stuck in there. But that's what helps with being diagnosed, because then you can kind of identify and be like, oh, okay, this is happening. How can I, what little tools can I use to like give myself a little bit of dopamine instead of being like, oh, everything sucks, I can't get out of this. Just like depression pit.
Yeah.
You know?
Having the awareness is so helpful just to give yourself some grace around it. Yeah. And to know kind of what's happening, even just within your body, because you're like, okay, I'm not just crazy. Yeah. And that's a huge part of therapy too, is people just assume all the little things about them. They internalize them like that is who they are. And a big part of the work, and you actually brought this up yesterday too, is like externalizing the diagnosis, externalizing depression, anxiety. It's not you. It's something you're experiencing and something that like is impacting your life, but it's not who you are. And so then it gives you a little bit of distance from it. So that way it doesn't make you go on a negative spiral about who you are as a human being. And feeling like you're lazy or incapable. It's like, no, you have something that's external that's impacting you.
It's like if somebody who had asthma would like be like, shit, why do I suck as a person? Like, no, it's just your body.
Yep.
You know, it's just apart from you, and you just have to work with it, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I think a lot of people don't really understand medication, especially for like antidepressants, but I always kind of relate it to people with diabetes need to take insulin because their body doesn't produce it. And so they need to, get an external source. But then people don't think of it the same way as like our brains don't produce dopamine or serotonin or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And we need that external. But it's the same thing. It's a chemical imbalance, or it's something that our body is not functioning properly.
And then these are the effects that come after the fact. So it's just a little help. That's all.
Help. We just have a little illness, a little setback. That also comes with strengths too.
Yeah. How were you hesitant about taking medication at all, or you always had that view?
No, I was definitely hesitant about taking medication for a really long time, and about being honest about my own struggles, because I have a sister with very severe mental illness, diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I've seen her like very depths of darkness, and we're 14 months apart. We grew up like twins, and this kind of happened when she was around 18 years old, like a very sudden shift of really negative decline. And I saw her go to like a treatment center, and I saw her go to therapists and psychiatrists and all this. And so I was so adamantly against that for myself, because I didn't want to be like, oh no, if she has mental illness, do I have mental illness? And like, what does this mean? And I kind of wanted to stay as far away from that as possible. And so interesting. It's funny now that I'm a therapist, but back then I was really against it. And so instead I went to go see a life coach, because I was like, ooh, therapy? No, that sounds negative. That sounds bad. And so I went to go see a life coach who actually was also a licensed therapist. But I liked life coach because it sounded more positive. It was about going forward. And so then I actually became a certified life coach. Before then, I decided to finally become a therapist, which allows me to go into people's past, which is more helpful, and really work with mental illness, where life coaching was great. I help people reach their goals and move forward. It's kind of taking you from where you are right now to where you want to go. Where therapy is also that, and can also like help you identify things in the past, or just a little bit more of a scientific, deeper approach.
Like getting to the root of the problem, kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good way of looking at it. Life coach and then therapy. Because I was like, it's kind of one and the same. But life coach is like, all right, now what are we going to do to fucking get ahead and go and move forward? I love that.
And therapists do that too. And I think when a lot of people still have maybe negative connotations about what going to therapy is, and it can be whatever you want it to be. If you just want it to be setting goals and moving forward, if you want it to just be somebody to listen to, if you want to do some digging into the past, like it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. I always explain to people who don't want to go to therapy, like, no, it's really just somebody kind of like holding your hand as you're figuring it out along the way. Because, when I was doing it, or when I started to do it, I'm going off on a tangent, but
I want it. I was about to ask you, so perfect. Just go.
Because, and just going back to the whole depression thing, it's in therapy, she was like, well, with ADHD, it's a little bit tricky if you have all of these other things going on, and it's hard. So we kind of have to figure out what came first. Is it the chicken or is it the egg? And so for me, it was getting diagnosed with depression and then figuring out that that's why I have severe anxiety. That's why I have these episodes of depression. That's why all these other things.
The umbrella for all the other things below it.
Yeah. I forgot everything, but I wanted to tell you that. That was it. I forgot everything, the point of that.
Well, what started you finally going to a therapist? How has your experience been with that?
It's been so good. I was just I got out of a relationship and I was really depressed. I was really angry. That's one thing that I noticed that I didn't like, was that I was angry. I was like, fuck, what is like, even like driving down the road, I would just get so pissed if someone would like just be an asshole. And I'm like, for what? Why am I getting this upset? Or slightest inconvenience, I'd get really frustrated and just like, just like feel the rage. And I hated that. I didn't want to fucking feel that. And didn't feel like I had control over my decisions. I know now that I'm like a feelings-based person. It has to feel right in order for me to want to do it or to even do it at all. And so like the one thing I fucking think about all the time is that chick from Mean Girls when everyone's like doing their fucking speech and shit and she's just crying on the stage. She's just like, I just have a lot of feelings. Literally me. That's me. I'm just showing up wherever fucking telling my feelings and crying about it. But I do. Yeah. I love living my life that way. Knowing that I have to get myself to feel good in order to do something. It's not just doing something because I know I have to do it, but I get to feel good about it. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It definitely
makes it makes life a little bit more fun.
And I would imagine now that you're living that way, you're connecting a lot more to people who are similar. Yeah. Who do the same thing.
I have so much more, like I feel softer, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, I guess comparing to where I started of being angry and now I just feel like calm and just like I feel softer. Yeah. And and I just want to maintain this state with like the relationships I have, with activities that I'm doing, with whatever I'm eating or doing, drinking. We're still figuring that out. But
hey, we all have to have a vice, some vices.
A little vice. We'll just go fucking high really quick. But yeah, no. So I can understand myself. I can understand my nieces or nephews or just like little kids around me where I see how they're acting and I'm like, oh yeah, I felt that when I was a kid. Maybe she's like getting overwhelmed and she doesn't like all this noise and she just needs like some space, like and so yeah, it's giving me a better understanding. And my same thing with my dad. I feel like he has ADHD and the undiagnosed ADHD, which is why he's probably had trouble completing his projects. Like he buys a lot of cars, right? So he's into used cars, old cars, and likes to fix them up. They're like his toys. And girl, I can't tell you how many fucking unfinished cars were in the backyard. Meanwhile, like some bills are due and shit. And my dad still is like shopping for cars. And I remember being like, what the fuck, Dad? In my mind, because obviously he's my dad. I can't see shit. Yeah. But then looking back at it now, it's like he's looking for dopamine. He's trying to make himself feel better by this like shopping. I do it with online shopping. Yeah. And instead of like trying to understand himself, he just kind of kept masking it with other things. And
we see that with a lot of the older generation, just pushing it down. Yeah. And then it gets to the point where they're like, I'm too scared to even begin because it's going to be like opening Pandora's box and they just don't even want to do it. And they just stay in the same state kind of forever. And it's sad as the younger generation who's healing so much quicker and unpacking everything and coping with generational trauma and like, healing all of this that even came before us. Yeah. Seeing people that we care about not willing to do the same thing, but it's too much for them. And it makes sense. They'd rather just stay where they are because it's scary to begin the journey. Yeah. Because it's going to hurt more until it feels better. Yeah. It's going to hurt a little bit. It's like surgery. You have to open it up and that's going to hurt. It's going to be messy and then you're going to heal and it's going to be so much better on the other side.
Yeah. Do you have anyone in your family that's kind of like that?
Yeah, I would say the older generation is a little bit like that. But my family, for the most part, we're pretty good about, at least like all my siblings, my mom, we have become very aware of mental illness and mental health because of what we've seen with my sister going through. And our family kind of went through that of like inner explosion, the hard part, talking about all the things. Like for a long time, we kind of covered up. And now we had to be really honest and it looked horrible and it kind of caused a disaster in my family. And now, because we're on the other side of it, it's so much better for it. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see it in people. One thing I was going to ask you is, do you still feel angry or do you feel like that has now dissipated?
Oh, it's definitely dissipated. And now whenever I do feel angry, I'm like, okay, my body's telling me something. What am I angry about? No longer am I looking at it like this kind of monstrous thing inside of me.
Yep.
It's just like another signal. It's another alarm going off,
Yeah.
you know, when I'm sad or
Wait to ask yourself and tune in. Has your therapist talked to you about secondary emotions and like anger as a secondary emotion?
No.
Oh.
What's that?
So anger is a secondary emotion. It's not one of the primary emotions. And it just signals the underlying emotion. So anger is just a reflection of actually being sad or scared. Yeah, I forget what all the primary emotions are, but pretty much like fear and sadness is really what it can show up as anger. But when you see somebody being angry, if you actually just do a little bit of digging, you realize it's a protective mechanism because of something else. And usually it's representative of being mistreated in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. So is that a primary feeling? or sorry, you said secondary?
Yeah, it means that it's kind of like in the branches, it's not one of the primary emotions. Like anger is actually not a primary emotion.
What are the primary emotions?
That's why I'm not like now.
I'm quizzing you.
I'm not sure. Next. I don't know. I'll have to go double check that.
You're fine. I was just curious. I was like, oh, but that's really interesting to think about. And it is true. That's why my dad's always kind of like just very just has this huge wall because there's so much hurt behind him. You know, I don't believe that there's bad people. It's just hurt people.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think for men, it's a little bit easier for it to be displayed in anger because that's more appropriate or that's what's more allowed at a young age rather than sadness or admitting that you're scared.
Right.
And it's sad, and then it results in just like, obviously can be very explosive, abusive people who that's the only way that they know how to display their emotions. But it's not all just anger. It's just all the other things that they're feeling shown in this one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Are you a therapist now? You say you have one semester left.
Yeah.
But...
I have one semester left, so I'm a trainee still.
Oh, okay. I was like, do you have any clients?
I do have clients.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have clients.
Awesome.
I'm working in an internship currently. And so I'm in training. I just have a supervisor that I report to, meet with every week. That's kind of how it goes. After this semester is done in December, then I'll be an AMFT, which is an associate marriage and family therapist. And then I have to get 3,000 hours, 3,000 clinical hours. I'm at like 200 now.
Okay.
So a long way to go. And then after 3,000 hours, then you become a licensed marriage and family therapist.
No, if I'm just burping.
Okay.
Champagne away. I'm sorry.
Good.
Like, I'm gonna vomit. No. Cool.
Yeah, but so not a licensed therapist just yet, but work just the same with clients one-on-one in a little room, listening to them. Like sometimes it just is amazing that the things that people trust you with and are opening up with and seeing their growth and seeing their pain. Like I love this job so much.
That's
it's
so
amazing.
great. Do you take anything with you? Like, or I'm sure there's a lot of lessons you've learned with some of these people. Has anything like hit you the most or stands out?
I think just that life is gonna always be full of just ups and downs, and it just is how we give ourselves, how we show up for ourselves as we go. I'm trying to think of anything super specific that I've seen from my clients, but I just, I'm always just inspired by them. And so many of them have so much hardship going on. And I think giving people more credit than, I need to give people more credit. It's like they're so capable, and I only see them for an hour of their whole week. It's such a small percentage of their life. And as therapists, we can kind of feel like, oh, I want to save them. I need to be responsible for their life. But it's like they go off and they take care of things and they get it done and they show up for themselves, and people are so resilient. And then, just working with women, just how intelligent and empathetic and kind, and it's so amazing because I'm getting to interact with people that I wouldn't necessarily me in general. Like, that's the amazing thing about therapy clients. Like, you don't know who you're going to end up with. And these are people who I may never have met otherwise. And getting this like sneak peek into their life, it just is beautiful every time. And it just opens me up to the wide range of different humans that exist out there.
Yeah, so many. It's so intriguing.
It is.
That's why I wanted to do this, because I wanted to like meet so many different people and see what's going on in their life.
Yeah, under the surface.
Yeah, there's too much to not want to know.
Yeah,
you know, we're all connected in one way or another, and we're all just trying to help each other out.
Yeah, we are, and it's so important to have these conversations that allow people to go a little bit deeper and to see who the real version of them, you know, who are they?
Behind everything. Yeah. I did write questions out really quickly because this was very spontaneous, you coming on here.
Yes, so I can't believe it so quickly.
I know, it's happening. Okay. Do you have, going back to the ADHD thing, do you have any like tell signs when you're dysregulated?
Oh, I definitely get overstimulated. I definitely get super overstimulated by like too much noise, too many people. I think like the older I get, the more I'm able to prevent circumstances that I don't like. I think that that's the biggest thing that's made life easier is I'm like, okay, I know what I like and what I don't like. And in the past, I maybe would have just tried to go with the flow a little bit more, always do what other people want me to do. And now I'm like, I know that I don't like that and it kind of triggers me. So let me just stay in the settings that I do like. And I'm also kind of I like routine and that works for me. Like I've just found the rhythm in my life that works for me and I'm not trying to be something I'm not or do or force myself to be anything other than who I am. So I just have kind of found the things that work for me. But in terms of just being triggered, I feel like I don't know. I just noticed. I'm like, I get like kind of claustrophobic feeling when I hear it, when it's too many things going on at once, too many people. I get a little like panicky and claustrophobic. And I'm like, okay, I need to just calm down. I need to check in with myself. But one little funny, hack that I found for my own life is maybe we talked about this yesterday. I talked about it at least with one of the cousins is I needed a closet to like throw all my stuff into.
Oh, yeah. We gotta have a messy pile somewhere.
We need Betsy was saying too that her desk, she's like, I know where things are, but it's gonna be a mess.
Yep. Oh, I was telling the story and didn't even finish it yesterday. Where it's like when my car got stolen and then my sister had to go into my room, which is absolutely chaotic and a mess. And I could tell her exactly where the spare key was and whatever documents she would need.
And she's like,
she's like, Ruth, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is not okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it works.
About it.
It works.
It's fine.
Yeah. But so for me, I'm like, okay, perfect. As long as I have a closet that I can throw everything into, then the rest of my space can be peaceful and good. But I just know myself. There's always, it's also an ADHD thing to only be able to get to 90% of something and then not finish the last 10%. And I don't know.
What is it?
I'm still not 100% sure what that is. But that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, that is so me. I can get to the last chapter of a book and be like, I don't want to do it anymore. Or the last paragraph of a paper that I'm doing and I just don't want to do it anymore. So it's so weird. But so I'm like, my closet is the little 10% I just don't want to do. The rest of the house can be clean and it works for me.
And it's fine. That's your little like treat that you get to have for yourself is that little grace.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you regulate yourself?
How do I regulate myself? I think breathing. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of like gratitude practices. It sounds a little like la la la, but it's true. It really works. Like for a period of time, I was writing every single day, just gratitude, and it started with just thank you for another day, getting to experience being a human being and all that it comes with, like the good and the bad. And I kind of think of it from this different lens of like, okay, we're a little soul and we're choosing. Like I want to, experience what it feels like to be a human being. And if I think of it from that perspective, it's like, I wished to be here and we want all that comes with it. Like it's, you want to feel of course, we always want to feel the good. And I think we hate those days when we feel really bad. But that's part of the human experience too. And so I say, like, thank you for the opportunity to, like, get to feel these things. And I had to kind of force myself to, like, get to that point where I'm like, okay, thank you for allowing me to feel what real sadness feels like or real loss feels like, or just having a bad day. And I think I'm sure that, like, you can only kind of go as high as you have been low, like things balance out. And so the lower you've been, the more you can experience like genuine happiness. And so it does come with its blessings. But yeah, I think tuning into myself and just connecting with myself, whether that is through a little bit of journaling. I used to be really good about meditation. I've fallen off a little bit.
Yeah.
But
how would you meditate? I know there's like different forms of it.
I did a couple different apps. I have one app that's called Waking Up with Sam Harris. That one was really good. It's a good one it has a really good introductory course to like guide you back into it, and it doesn't have any music or anything. It just is like teaching you how to really be present. I liked Headspace for a while too, and then I go on YouTube and I listen to a bunch of different ones.
There's so much on YouTube.
There is. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm just fully by myself silent. I like guided meditations. They help me, and I love it.
Same.
But that was really helpful. Yeah, I was going to say something. Oh, I know. Okay, one technique that I use that's really, really helpful whenever I'm really dysregulated from whatever it may be is I write to myself, and I show up both as myself as like the client and as the therapist or the coach. And so I'm like, I'm really sad right now. I don't feel good. And then I'm like, hey, tell me what's going on. And I show up as both. And it's crazy how quickly this works. Like, instantly, because all that you want, because then it's like, okay, tell me why. Well, because this person hurt me.
To both. Yeah,
this person hurt me, and I feel sad, and I feel blah blah blah, and then me coming in and being like, it's okay. Like, you're doing really well right now. I'm proud of you. Like little things that you needed to hear, and hearing it from yourself is even that much more powerful.
Yeah.
And I would think that it would need to go on, but like within the first page, I'm like, oh, you're right. Thanks, for that advice.
Right. I was fine all along.
Like, hey, it's okay. It makes sense that you feel that way.
Yeah.
That person hurt you, and that's part of being human. That completely makes sense. And like validating your feelings, and then also saying like, what are you learning from this? And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Because when we kind of get into that headspace of being dysregulated, it can spiral really quickly too, of just negative despair.
Oh, dude, it's like a floating balloon. It just keeps going higher and higher, and it gets worse and worse. Yeah.
And it's the beliefs like about ourselves that we then associate it to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then it starts grasping onto all those, like you said, beliefs,
things in the past
going on.
I'm the worst person ever.
Oh, dude, I'm like, no, get it together. We're not going down that route.
Yeah,
we're fine.
Exactly.
I do that during my drives. I'm not good at reading or writing, honestly. Like, I'm sure like I could do it, but my attention and my care and my want, no, not there. And so I do like video journals, and I just kind of like, I do the same thing where I'm like, all right. Oh, so a little check-in. What are we feeling? Okay, we're feeling a little sad. Why are we feeling sad? Oh, because of this thing, and that. Is this going to be the end of the world if this person doesn't text you back? And it's like, no, they're busy. I'm busy. And I kind of have to bring myself to like, all right, if it's always, I'm trying to find like the security in myself. Like how you said, it's powerful that the soothingness kind of comes from yourself. And that's what I'm trying to gain with me right now. It's like, I don't need other people to soothe me.
Yeah.
And the more power I have in that, the more secure I'll feel. Because then it's just like, oh, we're good. I got me. Yeah. No matter what in any situation.
Yeah. Which is really hard because automatically we want to call somebody else, get somebody else to consult. And kind of in doing that, we're taking away our confidence in ourselves, because we're saying that somebody else's opinion of this situation is more truthful or holds more weight than our own. And so it shows like, actually, this is displaying that I don't trust myself. And so the more that you do lean into, hey, actually, who knows me better than me? I can start to trust my own take on this. And it starts to then build your confidence in yourself the more you are able to lean on yourself and not always like fall into somebody else.
Yeah. And Sorry, a question popped in my head. How and I'm trying to figure out how to word it because it's how have you used all of that to like navigate the kind of relationship that you want to have? Like, how is that? How are you with relationships? Because I'm bad. I'm just gonna put it that way. But like, how are you? And I'm learning why I'm bad.
You mean romantic relationships?
Yes.
So I was pretty bad also for a while. I had just a negative relationship to men in general, and really needed to be validated by men, and whether that came from daddy issues or also society. Like, it tells you that that's what makes you valuable as a woman, is kind of putting a man on a pedestal and them judging you or telling you like you're worthy of love or you're not. And I really fell into that. And so I didn't really know what it meant to like be my full own person in a relationship and give myself enough credit that I am valuable. Like, I wanted to make myself small. I wanted to like do things for them to prove, and not realizing like so much of my power actually comes from like, knowing my self-worth and like having it be way more equal, or even be like, yeah, I'm the best. No, I'm just kidding. But so I throughout my life I had like some good, some bad relationships when I was younger. But then moving to LA, I dated a horrible guy.
Oh, no.
Horrible, bad. And this is now 3 years ago.
Yeah. Pretty recent, I would say.
Relatively recent.
Yeah.
But then I want to say 3 years ago, maybe I don't know. But broke me so much, but not even like of love, of heartbreak. It was just ego, of kind of just feeling so like they told me I'm not worthy, and like they just broke what I thought, I don't know, just what I believed about myself. And I knew it was a lesson I was going to need to learn, but it was so hard while I was learning it that I just felt so miserable. So then I went a whole 2 years not dating at all. Or like up until now. Aaron.
That was your last relationship before Aaron?
Oh. Yeah. So I went completely no dating at all. And I knew I was very codependent, extremely codependent almost. And I realized I learned a lot about codependency, which is so helpful. And it really is an addiction of needing somebody else. And I think it comes from a lot of things for me personally, including that I grew up with like a sister, like a twin, and then kind of lost her. And so this need of like, I need somebody to be there.
Yeah.
But also, I need a man to tell me that I'm worth something is also a needing, you need somebody else to feel alive. So even if they're really, really toxic, same as a drug, same as alcohol, obviously different. I don't want to compare that they're the same, but you know that it's not good for you, but it's the only thing that makes you feel a little bit better. And so I would continually go back to this guy who was just horrible. And so I had to break this codependency, and it really felt like withdrawal. Like I was breaking an addiction and it hurt. It like, I was so sad. I was super depressed at this time, and also just felt so alone because I was newer to LA, and I became friends with his friend group. We worked together. Like everything was all one little world. Yeah. And then I didn't have that anymore, and I didn't really have anybody in LA. And this was before I went to grad school. I just felt completely alone, isolated, super alone. And it was triggering back to an earlier period in my life when I felt super alone. But so then over time, like then I decided to apply to graduate school. I started to show up for myself a little bit more, started to do really good things, like just build my own self-confidence. And it took a long time. And then before I met Aaron, I was just so content, had no interest in dating at all. Because
you're so good by yourself. You were able to put yours like.
Yeah. And I started having really healthy relationships with my female friends. And like I have this incredible best friend like in graduate school I was telling you a little bit about. And positive relationships with my sisters, and just working on the relationships that I already had, and just my relationship with myself. And everything started to improve so much. And so I was not interested in dating really at all. was like, oh, man. No, thank you. I don't want it.
I mean, after that last experience, why would you?
And I kind of had it in my head that I was like, oh, all men are terrible. So maybe I'll be okay just by myself forever. And it's kind of crazy that I have this story with Aaron where it's very like...
It's a cute-ass story.
Exactly.
Do you want to say it? I love it.
It is a cute story. It's a crazy story because I feel like it's so cheesy of like when you're not looking for it. But it's like it really turned out that story.
It should be a movie. It's so fucking cute.
Yeah. So wasn't looking at all. Not even on my radar. Was so content. I thought I was asexual. I was like, I think I don't need anybody. I'm just so happy. I'm fine.
Don't want anyone to ruin this right now.
And so then I was at a karaoke bar with my sisters, and Aaron was there by himself, like a little goofy. I was gonna say like a weirdo, but it was cute. It was good.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was there, and he went up to sing, which also I love that because it shows like the more that you are just your authentic self, the more you attract the people who are meant to find you. Yeah. That's how you find your people.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you're finding that too, like putting your voice out there.
I'm finding my people. And then
they find you.
Yeah, same thing with you. I'm gonna stick into the setting that I like. And and then eventually I'm gonna find my people. Or
the more you just like radiate your own light and you're not trying to be anybody that you're not, the more, and you show it very like openly, the more those people who are the same energy as you can find you. How are they gonna find you if you're hiding, you know?
Exactly.
But so he went up and sang, and my sister-in-law was like, Val, do you think he's cute? I was like, I think he's cute. But then he started singing. I was like,
he's fucking good at singing.
Oh, he has an amazing
really
voice.
Good.
I was like, I'm in love. I forget if I told you or one of your other cousins that I have a video from that day. They filmed me being like,
shut the fuck
I have a video of him singing that she recorded, and like 2-second video of him singing, and of her recording me being like, I'm in love. And so then she's like, you have to go talk to him. And I was like, I don't want to. Like, I really hadn't been doing that. Yeah. And I just felt awkward. And
I just wouldn't even do that. Just like, hi.
And the thing is, I'm like, I perfectly could do that. And so they made it more awkward by being like forcing me to do it. Because I was like, I got this on my own. And they're like, they wrote down my name and my phone number on a piece of paper for me. It wasn't even my handwriting. And then, but yeah, I think also Aaron is, I don't know, like I just wouldn't have normally like done this at a karaoke bar or gone for him. I don't know, even though, I don't know. But anyways, so I had this piece of paper with my name and my phone number in my hand, but I was like, that's not my method ever. Like to give like, that's so cringe to me. I was like, no. So I just was like, I got this, guys. I can do it. So I just went up to him and I was like, wow, your voice is so good. And he's like, thank you. I noticed you too. And right before that, I went up and sang Pocahontas with my siblings. Like, so, and I can't sing. I was just like dancing, like colors.
You were there for the vibes.
Yeah. I was like, you saw that? But he's like, oh, I really like that you were so goofy. And I feel like in relationships, I never like was able to be goofy because I was trying to be so perfect or be this like cool version of myself. But I'm so goofy. Yes. And so was he. And so that's how we just connected. And then we texted that night. And we literally we haven't had a break of talking since then, 4 months ago. And we laughed so much. I was like, wait a second, who is this guy? And like, even at the beginning, I texted my sister group chat. I was like, oh, guys, karaoke guy might be like my perfect match. Karaoke guy. And they all loved him so much. And so that helped me too, to have them be like, we really like her. I was like, oh, okay. Yay. If my sisters see it and they see me, like how I'm reacting to it. And then it really fell together so naturally. We like talked for hours and hours and hours before we even went for our first date on the phone every single day. And then we had our first date a week later. And it was awkward because
it was awkward.
It was a little awkward because I already knew everything about him. We both knew everything about each other because we were talking literally throughout the entire night. I knew too much that I was like, I don't even know. But then you're meeting with this person and they're still a stranger.
Yeah.
And it almost was like Love is Blind. Like I had to connect in person to like the voice
and the stories and everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it was a little awkward, but then it was fine, obviously, and here we are now. So and now I feel so good. Back to the full beginning of this.
Right.
What your question of relationships is that I feel like taking that time for myself, really getting to a place where I felt content and genuinely didn't need somebody, which is what everybody says, but I genuinely feel like that worked for me because also now I'm able to come from a different place where I'm like, I don't need you. I'm not trying to please you or trying to be something like, and he cares about me so much, so openly, so in such a kind way where we have an amazing communication and it just is so, so, so healthy that I didn't even know that this type of relationship could really exist. I'm so happy. So.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were there when I was texting him. I think I was drunk at the time. And I sent him a video or a voice message or something. He was sobbing because I was so happy that he found someone that he could like be himself with. Because the family knows him as being this like crazy loud, fucking just out there dude, loves to sing, does his own thing.
Yeah.
And
the most ADHD
the
ever.
most, dude. And out of a boy, right? So that's where it comes out of the most.
Yeah.
And I know like he's healing and trying to be his best self too and just understanding who he is and everything. And so when I saw that you guys were just so goofy together, just happy together, I was like, this is beautiful. This is perfect. Somebody who sees him and sees no flaws. He's like, well, I mean, whatever, but no need to change.
Yeah.
And then same with you. It's like, as long as you guys can comfortably be yourselves, and you guys can communicate whatever discomforts you have, what could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
You just have fun.
Yeah. And he actually had told me that before. And I know the moment that you're talking about when you said that. We had just sent you guys a video like us singing Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or something on our road trip.
Yeah, you guys were in the car. Yeah. That's what it was.
But
so sweet.
He had told me before that there was a moment between the two of you where you were like, with his ex-girlfriend, like, you're not able to be yourself. And even when he tells me that he like could never be goofy, I'm like, how did you act?
Yeah.
I don't know any version. Then how did you show up? Because that's who you are all the time.
Exactly.
That's kind of crazy.
That's why I was like, why do you want to go back? And it was because she kind of like held, I don't know, but it's like she had like her shit together, and so I think I could be wrong, Aaron, but I think he just saw that and wanted to kind of have a piece of that be true in his life. And
wait, what do you mean?
Like she was very intellectual, and she
she filled
driven,
like the spaces that he felt like he couldn't fill. Is that what you mean?
Something that he like aspired to be, wanted to be more of. Yeah. So I guess he just wanted to be, which he does. He reads books. He's an intellectual person himself, but I think that's what he connected with. But then I was like, but bro, you're not really you. You're like, I feel you just like not restricting yourself, but like you're fuck, I had the word earlier. Repressing? Yeah.
Or just like minimizing.
Yeah. So whenever we would like go out and drink or something, his like true self came out, and then that was a little bit jarring for someone who didn't see that all the time, which was her probably.
Yeah.
And I get it. Aaron can be a lot. But it comes from it's a very genuine place. Like he means no harm. He's just trying to be understood.
Yeah.
and yeah. So when he was talking to me about things like, Ruth, what do I do? And I was like, Aaron, I need you to feel free and comfortable and not restricted in your everyday life, and especially in your relationships, because it's not going to work either way. How are you? Yeah. You got to have that comfortable space to be yourself.
Yeah. And so where do you feel like you are right now in terms of stepping into a place where like you will be ready for a really healthy relationship, or where are you now?
Oh Christ. I struggle with codependency. I still haven't figured out why.
I have a great book.
Yes, please. What book?
can't remember the name.
It's okay.
But actually, I have another one that I'll have to look up and tell you. But crazily enough, Codependency for Dummies it's crazy that it's that silly title, but was so helpful.
Yeah.
And there's like some worksheets in it too, like asking questions and like you're circling answers of like which parts resonate with you. So helpful.
Yeah.
And just I was highlighting the whole I was like, what? It is crazy. And especially like already being in clinical psychology, I'm like, I know all these things, but then you learn these new parts of yourself and why they are the way that they are. And it's so helpful. So definitely would recommend. Okay. I'll give you the other book too once I figure out what it is. But Codependency for Dummies, for anyone who's watching or listening and is struggling with codependency, extremely helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to need that.
So you struggle with codependency?
Yeah, no, I think I'm kind of where you were at last year and just kind of building a life where you're okay with being alone. And I am now, and I'm getting there. But I want to say it's the early stages.
Yeah.
So I would be, the thing is, this is what happens. And it was happening to me this morning. I just get so distracted the moment affection comes into play.
Yeah.
So if I'm like staring at a dude at a grocery store, which I had this little moment at Trader Joe's, and and then completely fucking forgot why I was there, and it just threw me off, and then it like I got excited and all it just like boop, exploded in my brain, and I lost my train of thought. I wasn't present. I got nervous and anxious out of nowhere. I just started fucking overthinking things, and I was like, Jesus Christ, Ruth, you looked at somebody for 5 seconds, and then all this is happening in your brain. So this is what I'm trying to figure out is how I don't make it into such an extreme.
Yeah.
It
sounds like it's like feeding into something that your childhood self really needed, and it's crazy those moments of being triggered, whether it's a positive, or negative, just like it really reverts us back to an earlier stage of ourself. And that one reverted you back to like a childhood version of yourself that maybe really needed attention or affection. And even that little feeling gives you that. And so of course then we become addicted to that.
Yeah, because that's what I'm addicted to. Yeah.
Of course, feeling seen, feeling cared for. And like I think especially if you have a hard relationship with a father figure, and then it's from a man, like it just feels, I need this.
Yeah. My daddy issues run hard.
Not too.
But no, I say that I'm bad in relationships because every time that I get in one, I've noticed myself like wanting their attention, and I take it personal when I don't get fucking text back or something.
Yeah.
This happened with this last guy, where there just wasn't enough words sound so weird right now. I'm like, what?
Wine yesterday, fucking mimosa today. Dude, what are we even talking about?
What's happening?
But you were saying
like same thing when I made that eye contact with a dude at fucking Trader Joe's. It's just like I guess it hits that trigger of me needing the affection or attention or knowing that I'm cared for.
Yeah.
And I need to work on accepting that there's different forms of that, not just what I see.
Yeah.
Just because this person texts me good morning all the time, it doesn't mean that they don't care for me. That's just because that's my love language doesn't mean that it's theirs.
That, and when you're with the right person, like they will consistently show you in the ways that you need it to be shown to you. But I think that what you were saying about being in a similar stage of like stepping into yourself and being in a healthier place, you doing a podcast, that's exactly what you want to do. That's your voice.
Yeah.
That's an amazing step to just like being so, creating your whole own life in such a stable center that then somebody else can come into it. And you were saying you have this like amazing adult friendship with a woman that's like a newer friendship, and adult friendships are really hard. But once you start to have that, and then you also hold a new standard for what relationships feel like in general, whether it's a friendship or not. And the same thing happened to me too. Like this amazing, my best friend Loida, showed me like what it was like to, because even in my like friendship relationships had a lot of unhealthy patterns, and just because it's our older selves and it's our like unhealed selves, and there's a lot of toxic people out there, you know? But with her, she showed me how to like be properly cared for, and like that somebody can show up in the same way that you show up for them. And that has raised the standard for me for romantic relationships too. And but then also even just being with Aaron still, like the thing is that you can heal yourself and be alone. And I was like, I'm healed. I have healed this in a void, you know, by myself. But then once a relationship comes into place, it triggers all those things that you can't heal until somebody else is there triggering them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Dude.
So you actually need that to heal those spots. And so even at the beginning of my relationship with Aaron, a lot of old triggers. But when it's a really good person, they're willing to like work through those things with you, show you in the way that you need to be shown, like proper communication and care. And like that really, it does exist. For sure.
It does exist. It's out there.
I know that it's hard because we're like, oh, we don't want to set an unattainable standard. But if you exist and you're an intelligent, kind, empathetic person who shows up, who gives love, who knows how to, you know, show up for somebody, somebody else exists who's just the same as you.
Yeah.
And you deserve that.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm no longer like, I feel, oh God, we're running short on time, but I feel like there's this whole, I'm so over this phase right now of dating where people are just like being closed off and are afraid to show emotion because they don't want to be rejected. Yeah. And now I'm just like, whatever. I have so much love to give. Yeah. And I'm not going to like repress that. So not repress that, but I'm not going to not show that. So
to play a game,
to not come out not looking like a dumbass. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Yeah, like I'd rather be my authentic self. Yeah, same. Yeah. And then if you receive it, great. And if not, cool. I know where you stand. And then we move on. Exactly. There's no harm. What is it? What are we doing?
That's what I think too. All my friends are like, "Val, you're being a little bit crazy," because like within the first like little time of me knowing him, I was like, pretty quick, we moved super quick, but also I was like, oh my God, he's the one, and he knows all this. that I also was like in this little fantasy because I was like, what? This is crazy, and I just like went with it. And everybody was like, Val, slow down. You just met him and you're doing too much. But I loved it because I just was showing up super as myself, like too much. But he's so much too.
He's taking it. Yeah.
And he loved it, you know, and it allowed us to be like our really genuine selves and feel comfortable and like trust what it is rather than playing games. Yes. I hate the games.
Fucking hate the games. What are we doing it for? For what?
Yeah. Funny story is that the first day after we were texting, the next day he didn't text the whole day. And I was like, he was playing a game, but he accidentally called me, and he told me, he was like, no, like he was trying to play it cool. And so then I texted him and I was like, hey, you called? And he's like, just by accident. But then it allowed us to continue to talk. And, and I was like, good. He's like, I was going to wait a couple days. I was like, good thing you didn't, because I would have hated that. I don't like that, you know, because that makes me feel anxious and stressed. I like continuous conversation. You know, I don't want you to play a game or be cool. No. Show me all the attention. I want that.
So. Oh, man. Well, Val, thank you okay. Valerie or Val? I keep calling you Val.
Val is fine.
Whichever. Okay. Whichever. Val, I'm so happy you came.
I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
Thank you. This was so fun.
We're bonded for life. Whatever happens with you and Aaron, which I'm sure is going to work out beautifully, or at least I hope it will. Yeah. Yeah, we love you.
No, well, I love you too. This is so fun. I'd love to like hang out as friends, go get a drink.
Oh, girl.
Go dancing.
This is a problem now. This is a problem. We are going to go out. We're going to have fun. Aaron's going to have to take care of us, which is a first for him, but he will. Anyway.
Aaron, you're DD. Let's go. But thank you so much. I'm so impressed by you and proud of you for doing this. Like investing in yourself into a passion that you care about, setting this up, showing up as your genuine self, and also being really authentic, vulnerable. It helps other people to hear that. And I just commend you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for having me on it. Really, it was an honor.
Thank you so much. You're also the first girl to come on my podcast.
Really?
Ever. Yeah.
There were no, well, your best friend.
True. Not true. Yeah. Isabel. Sorry. She was the first. But yeah.
No, by myself.
This is great. By yourself. Yay. All right. Bye, friends. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.